background and experience you've had with that police agency.
Sure. I started with Palm Beach in 2006, and as a patrol officer, I've worked road patrol. I worked road patrol most of my time there, but I've had special assignments on the Marine unit and on the field force team.
What's the field force team?
So field force is we respond. A couple of years after I left FWC, NASBLA came to me and asked if I could produce a GPS forensics course for their organization, which I did. And so that course has been in place since 2013, and it's kind of a one-of-a-kind course, and we teach to state, local, and federal law enforcement all around the country. We have an ongoing contract now with the Coast Guard. I'm teaching 3 classes a year to Coast Guard personnel. I've taught it.
The prosecution begins by building the credibility of its expert witness. Before discussing the crash itself, they spend considerable time establishing his decades of experience in marine law enforcement, accident reconstruction, and GPS analysis. That strategy is important because this case appears to rely heavily on technical evidence rather than eyewitness testimony alone. Jurors are being asked to trust conclusions drawn from navigation systems, vessel damage, and boating regulations. Notice how the witness isn't presented as someone who simply reviewed paperwork. He's portrayed as someone who trains other investigators and teaches GPS forensics at a national level. That can carry significant weight with a jury because it suggests specialized expertise beyond ordinary law enforcement experience. The prosecution is essentially laying the foundation for the argument that the physical evidence can tell the story of what happened even.
Are you familiar with navigational rule number 5?
Yes.
Can you explain to the jurors what is navigational rule number 5?
Navigation Rule 5 is often referred to as the first rule of boating, and it is lookout. And essentially, Navigation Rule 5 says you have to watch where you're going all the time, and you have to use all available means, including sight and hearing and any other available means to determine if there's a risk of collision.
Number 6.
Yes.
Please explain what that rule is.
Navigation Rule 6 is titled Safe Speed, and Navigation Rule 6 says that everybody is required to operate at a safe speed, and that speed is determined by your ability to see and recognize potential for collision and have time to take action to avoid it.
This is where the testimony begins moving from background information into potential liability issues. The witness isn't directly saying someone was reckless. In fact, the judge specifically reminds the jury that violating navigation rules alone does not automatically prove criminal negligence. But these rules create a framework for evaluating conduct. The concepts of lookout, safe speed, and collision avoidance are basic responsibilities for every vessel operator. The prosecution appears to be building a checklist for jurors. Later, they can compare those standards against whatever the GPS data and crash reconstruction show actually happened. Notice that the witness repeatedly emphasizes using all available means to avoid danger. That phrase becomes important because it expands the discussion beyond simply steering the boat. It includes awareness, observation, and reaction time.
Once you get through the channel, either going north or south, it opens up really wide. So it kind of, all the traffic funnels down into Cutter Bank Channel and then opens up. And so you have to be there, you have all that channel being confined to this one section of waterway. And you have to take into consideration the maneuverability of those boats. Some of these might be motor yachts that need a substantial amount of space to maneuver. So that's why it would be considered a narrow channel.
When traversing a channel, there's not like a yellow painted line like we have on the roadways to separate who's on what side. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
But are there quote-unquote rules of the road that dictate which side of a channel a vessel should be operating on?
Yes.
What is that?
You stay to the right. A light load.
Oh, so not a load of, say, 14 people?
That's correct.
Did you bring a model boat with you so that you could explain to the jurors what additional people on a vessel can do in terms of its ability to traverse through water?
Sure. So how fast you can go on this boat is dependent on the weight of the load that you're carrying, as well as how the load is placed on the boat.
Okay. Can you show the jurors using that? And you can step a little closer. It's a long distance between you and the jurors. Can you explain what, let's say if there was a total of 14 people on a vessel of this type of, configuration. You had a couple of people here on the back, and then you had a couple of people by the center console. So that's going to be 4. So then you basically are going to have 10 people, 3 across the bench, and then the remaining 7 along the bow. Can you explain to the jurors how that's going to impact that vessel's ability to travel at top speeds?
One interesting issue here is the passenger load. The testimony suggests a significant number of people were aboard the vessel, many positioned toward the front. That's important because vessel balance affects visibility, maneuverability, and overall performance. The prosecution appears to be anticipating a possible argument that visibility or boat design contributed to the crash. That's why they specifically ask about blind spots. The expert acknowledges that support structures can create limited obstructions, but then delivers what may be one of the prosecution's strongest sound bites. There was no reason the operator could not see directly ahead. Whether jurors accept that conclusion will likely depend on how persuasive they find the physical evidence and GPS reconstruction later in the case.
Portion of the boat, would having 10 girls affect the ability of that boat to hit that 54 or 55 mile an hour top rated speed?
Absolutely.
In your opinion, would that add almost 1,000 pounds to the bow of the boat?
It would.
From having been on that vessel, did you ever stand like at the captain's helm or, where the operator of the boat would be?
Yes.
Did you have the opportunity to look and see whether there were any blind spots or things that would keep someone from seeing what's ahead of them?
There's a little bit, yes.
Okay. What is that?
May I?
Yes.
There's these support structures here that are holding the top up, and then
No, it's okay, Renee. Thank you so much. Oh, can everybody see or not?
Yeah.
I just don't want you to have to keep.
No, it's okay.
No, I got to.
You have support structures that are holding up the T-top, and you also have to maintain a 360-degree lookout. So a little bit with these here when you're my size electronics box.
Okay. Is there any?
Ladies and gentlemen, by stipulation, the parties in this case have agreed to enter into a stipulation or agreement regarding the Robalo vessel which was involved in this case. The parties have agreed that on the date of September 4th, 2022, prior to impact with the channel marker, the vessel.
This section is often what jurors remember most. Instead of discussing abstract legal theories, the witness walks through the physical evidence left behind by the collision. Damage patterns can sometimes reveal the sequence of events more reliably than human memory. The expert's description suggests the impact was not minor. According to the testimony, the forces involved were powerful enough to deform fiberglass structures and leave transfer markings along the vessel. That matters because severe damage can help explain injury patterns, passenger movement, and the overall dynamics of the crash. The prosecution appears to be using the boat itself as a silent witness.
Mr. Alvear, can you talk to us about the initial point of impact, this vessel and the channel marker?
Yes. So this is first contact right here. And then if you look carefully down here, there's this green. This green is transferred from the dayboard, the green sign on the top of the steel beam, which is the channel marker. And you can see some black transfer from the actual steel pole. And then there's also black transfer and impacting down here, diagonally stern, basically back down the boat.
What does that tell you about the actual movement of the vessel as it strikes that channel marker? And
when this Robalo struck the channel marker, it hits kind of like this, but then the front of the boat flexes it flexes upwards and probably twisted it to the right. And that's how you get this diagonal impact right here. And you have to imagine too that this green transfer is on this sign, which is on the top of the pole, and you got to picture in your head how high this boat had to, how much flex there was in here. It was incredibly powerful. A lot of force involved in this collision.
By the end of this testimony, the prosecution has connected several major pieces of evidence: navigation rules, vessel performance, collision damage, passenger positioning, and GPS data. The GPS evidence may ultimately be the most influential because electronic records can sometimes confirm or contradict witness recollections. That's likely why so much attention was given to recovering and preserving the navigation devices immediately after the vessel was salvaged. From a courtroom perspective, this witness serves as a bridge between the physical evidence and the prosecution's theory of the case. Rather than relying solely on opinions, he attempts to reconstruct events using measurable data and observable damage patterns. The ultimate question for the jury is whether that evidence proves criminal wrongdoing or merely a tragic boating accident.
To that Robalo.
It starts right about here, and then it runs all the way down the side. Down here.
If that's the case, which passengers would you expect to see most likely to absorb some of that impact?
Everybody is absorbing the impact in this case. Everybody. But the passenger seated along the starboard side here are closest to the force, and they're going to probably see a lot of force.
So the passenger that... In the case involving that Robalo vessel that we saw, were you contacted by FWC and asked to assist with recovering data from the navigation systems it had on board?
Yes.
When were you first contacted and asked to do that by FWC?
The day after the crash.
What was your understanding at that point of where the vessel was?
It was relayed to me that it was still in the water on the bottom of Biscayne Bay, and the initial inquiry was like, hey, we've got this boat and the GPSs are underwater. Do you think you can get data out of it?